Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
I doubt that. Yeah, I don't know who would.
on that last
So,
one because
yeah.
it was
It's gonna be fun.
I didn't think I did enough work for that test.
really
though,
don't
so. There was some questions on there.
Too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad,
Yeah, it's
but
bad.
it definitely would have helped if I had studied that much. But it was okay. I'm not that worried about it. I just like to know things.
Want some lunch and John?
How's your private?
I didn't study at all for it.
Oh, so you're
I
fine
didn't-
with the
yeah.
first.
What?
My like test average is like a 95%. Yeah, so I'm like, there's no point in even. Yeah. So I was
So all
like,
you're gonna do is just study for.
yeah. So I studied like I maybe studied for like an hour.
Smells like grandma.
There was like a few that were like trick questions, like the very first one. Because it was
Thank you for coming. I'm so happy to see you. So, did you develop your opinion, or you still need more time about when to present? In a week, next Friday, or you want very late? Like, it's your decision. There are pros and cons. Next Friday it is 11, which is a little easier to wake up than 9 a.m. But
Isn't it 8 a.m.?
Huh?
Isn't our final time at 8 a.m.?
I think 9.
I think it's 8 to 10.
It's 8 to 10.
8 to 10. No, let's do next Friday and just make it. No? Not
So
possible.
December 13th. Next Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Friday 13th. If you'll be lucky day.
I don't have class after that. That's the only class that I have that day. So.
On Friday.
Oh, never mind.
No, I
We have
also have
we have a test right after it, didn't we?
on Friday. What
Or
time? At 1?
Wait, no,
not this Friday.
not this Friday, but
We would do it
on
next
finals
Thursday.
week. We sure have a test right after.
Finals week Thursday.
Finals week Thursday at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a class afterwards. We could do 9 to 11 if we wanted.
Yeah, I don't have anything either.
No.
I only have a Monday.
I'm good too.
No,
So
Wednesday, Friday.
9?
That
Or-
would
or-
work for me.
I should check what is the availability of room, if it would be possible to start at 10 or at 11.
That would be
even better.
You guys okay?
I would rather do the 9 because I do have a final.
Okay. Well, I've collected your opinion, and so you are not favoring next Friday, and we are debating little details about a Thursday in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Morgan can't do next Friday.
Huh?
Morgan can't do next Friday
Cannot.
because he has class right afterwards.
So if I decide to insist on next Friday, then we need to squeeze it into 50 minutes.
Yeah. Or he could just go first and then leave.
That would be.
Then leave whenever, because most of us don't have anything else.
Okay, let's keep it yet in pencil.
Okay.
So you can read it.
Oh,
We'll chat more next week. So what?
I don't believe you. Maybe I would just not like this.
What are we? I will check about availability of rooms.
Okay.
Because if anyone else needs the room, it will be more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing today? Everyone is fine with projects, more or less.
Kind of.
So I'm going to do a silliest possible thing today. I will tell how to write.
Thank you. Perfect.
So there will be no academic portion today. It will be only discussion of what can one put into written report and how it will be assessed. So and I have some slides, but when everyone looks on the slides, it's a little less connection. It's better to have a little bit on the pre-discussion. There are, more. Each of you is an expert in, or growing expert in your own area of the research project. So, and there is no time to speak about details in a big circle. But when we are presenting outcomes of the research to colleagues, to public, there are some principles. Why we need to care about how to present, how to write? Again, this is this course, the content of the course is no way an exotic way to torture young people. It is made, all these things, all these rules, stereotypes, patterns are designed through generations by people for the people. And you know that the modern civilization will not survive without some little discoveries in this and that areas of science. And one needs to keep on research, passing information, just to, even if we do not discover anything new, to have the educated workforce to be able to maintain the world how it is right now. And in the academic portion of this activity, there is an interesting feature that is self-evident, but many people do not think about it. So for majority, I wouldn't say general public, for majority of science majors, the science is not on the top, the career is on the top. For a small portion, for who really care about intellectual curiosity, the research can be a goal, a target, a pleasure on its own. But it, like, I'm satisfying my own curiosity, I'm mixing catalysts, analyzing products, or running some NMR facility or whatever, and I'm getting pleasure. But it doesn't work this way, because one needs to get career payment, one needs recognition. So everything that is being done in this activity is related to interpersonal communications, which is completely not a subject of scientific courses. It's more, I don't know, sociology or something like this. Oh. So we are not going to go deep into philosophy of that, but society cannot live without science, and science cannot live without interpersonal communications. And the way of achievement of your research goes to help society, or will be just buried in a table, or just forgotten in the erased hard drive, depends on how efficiently you communicate your achievements to others. And what does it mean, how efficiently you communicate? It means how positively audience accepts what you communicate. So it is a little bit of game of getting emphatic feeling about your research. Okay? So this question about delivering a message and getting a positive feedback is very old, is much older than science itself. So like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, people were trying to convince each other in different things. And the way how to communicate message was prepared and polished, not through centuries, through millennia. And right now we are touching these ancient civilizations, because we are not doing new things. So both written and oral reports can be organized in a specific way, so that of course you cannot replace perfect result, like match low quality results with perfect presentation and then override lack of result. But at the same level of quality of research, one can get orders of magnitude better or lower impact depending on how it is organized and presented. And the criteria is not objective, like we did in homework, like did you get the right answer. The criteria is how convincing it is for the people who are reading. And on Monday, we will mock the process in the research community. Although some of you are targeting industrial careers, some of you are targeting teaching careers, and maybe a small fraction are looking into research and development activity, but it is typical process. So you are done or about done with the research. But now the very important part, scientific communications. Efficiency of scientific communications is judged by how community takes it. So you play two roles, each of you. An author and reviewer, representing community. And the idea that your write-up that you're going to prepare through the weekend will be read by your peers is the main message. It sets up your mindset. So you're writing not for an instructor who you may hate, or you're not writing for abstract Alex software if you were exposed to it that creates multiple choices. You're writing for alive humans who will consider your things convincing or not convincing. If you are okay with this idea, basically we are done for today. I will provide some additional details, but this is the main message. Whew. Any questions or suggestions? Good. So we are coming to the surveillance. So it's definitely something rather old, few millennia before. So there were philosophers who were telling how to organize communication between people. And today's civilization is very intercommunicated. There are a lot of achievements in different parts of the world, like India, China, Korea, but noticeable part of what we are doing is borrowed from Greece and Rome, and it's just how the organization of effort in modern civilization is set up. And there were two branches. In Greece, it was more a reflection of what is going on, pure philosophy. And in Rome, it was more practical, like set of rules to achieve the goals. And the Aristotle, I'm not that smart, I just read it in Wikipedia. I'm just quickly opening. So that there are several steps of communicating your thoughts to people, like designing, which is maybe your research, deciding about style, and most important, how to arrange, if you have completed all the research, how to arrange your thoughts and results. Technical part of results is not the whole story. You need to explain why it is needed, what are the consequences. And the next slide about Roman thinkers will be only about this arrangement. And it is what we need to look at. The rest is more to generally. And then for delivery and memories, if everything is on the flash drive or on the computer, we do not need to memorize anything, right? So, Alisa saw this part of the lecture in another class. So if you are coming to my classes or will come in the next semester, you'll see part of it. But it is so good that nothing can be better. Does anyone took Latin in the career? No? Not a bit? Can you try to read just what should sound? Out loud. You will be the best of anyone in the audience. Like, I cannot compete.
No.
Just try to read it. Try to read the first 3 words.
Directeur,
Uh-huh.
docteur, mauvais.
Okay, yeah, thank you, John. So the goal of any public speech is to, I would say, to entertain the audience. For sure, I'm telling it as a joke to friends, but I can tell it to main role of the instructor is to be a clown. The rest things are secondary. To teach is to communicate some positive new knowledge, and to move. A lot of public speeches were made in ancient times. Were made for court trials, for military leaders to engage troops to stand up and kick someone. But if someone is coming to speak up front, there is definitely a goal to move audience or part of audience to do something. Otherwise, if you do not want to urge people to do something, you do not need to speak. Right? And in this scientific communications, the goal is to convince your reviewers that you did the best research in the world. Or you convince instructor that this is work worth of A+++. So, John, please help. Please read 6 other words in blue.
Hey, no.
Well, you can alternate one word.
Yeah.
What? Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Grazie.
Uh-huh.
Particio.
Uh-huh.
Complimenti.
Uh-huh.
Confutatio.
Uh-huh.
Grazie.
Yeah, thank you much. So from now on, you are certified followers of ancient rhetors. So this is the way how the thoughts are supposed to be organized according to the canons of ancient rhetorics. So when you design your speech or you write up, you split things onto sections. So in the first one, you are trying to engage audience and keep the attention. So if there is no how to say, very bright, provocative statement at the beginning, typically audience will take cell phones and start reading news or emails. So it should be something provocative at the very beginning. Otherwise, you will lose contact. And it is both for the public speech and for writing. So you can say even predominantly wrong statement and then tell, I want to check whether it is right or wrong. But it will alert the audience. Then the narrative, it sounds like narration in English. So basically one tells what other people who were looking at the same problem did. And in modern scientific literature, it's review of literature. In the next part, divisio partitio, it's like divide. So at the time when you prepare your write-up or talk, you already have all components, or supposedly you have as good as ready. And then you decide in which order they will be presented that they will look logical. So your positive data, your positive knowledge, how to arrange it so that they look reasonable, and you also give heads up to the audience, because when you are speaking in public, there is a big temptation to assume that your audience is very smart, which is good. But if you overestimate abilities of the audience, the presentation, either written or oral, will be boring. So it's better to oversimplify. It's better to avoid surprises and tell right away the what to expect. So basically, here you're telling that there will be a couple more sections which are logically connected, so that there will be no big surprise in the organization of what to follow. And if you were, there is a course taught by Dr. John Herberger, like presentations, and you probably saw many of scientific presentations when there are like outline of the talk, right? It's to help audience to prepare for specific organization. The confirmatio is basically when the arguments are given in support of your main message. So it is the part where one offers positive knowledge, the like figures, tables, their explanation. Then, do you know the? Okay, so the next part, computatio, is in some sense it corresponds to modern discussion sections of the paper. It is also an important. It is also an important mindset thing that you already mentioned at the very beginning when we were just discussing. If you recognize that your writing and presentation will be not for abstract robotic grader, but for alive humans, you may guess that a part of audience may disagree with you, or may challenge you, or may doubt that some of your steps are logical. And you may temporarily pretend that you're sitting on the other side, design a way of criticism to your own work, and then prepare how you will refute, how you will rebut, how you will fight with it. And you can write explicitly. Someone in the audience may not believe it, but here are my arguments why it is correct. Okay, and the this is ratio is summary, conclusions, and I like this part. This all was borrowed from Wikipedia, but I like this part most. So in addition to standard summation of the arguments, you need to blame anyone who disagrees. I mean, if you do not believe my results, you're not a scientist. Well, it is an exaggeration, but and it is not my idea; it's idea of Cicero. And induce positive feelings to the author, to the case, to your results, if you can do it. So this is what was done in ancient Rome for like military leaders and trials. In scientific parts, it's maybe projected onto like, abstract at the beginning, conclusions at the end, introduction with literature review. In addition to splitting, also right now, most of the scientific communications use diverse and original methods that are not part of public knowledge, and therefore one needs to describe what this method is in order so that people believe it. And then you provide results, discuss, and conclude. This is a little too much for short written report in the class. Right? It's mostly general ideas. And if you simplify, one can maybe simplify it to 4 sections. So, what can be potentially placed there? And those are only suggestions and general idea. You're doing creative activity and you have your inspiration and talent and you can write it in different ways. It's just some suggestions. So each of you have different systems. You can explain why it is interesting. And maybe find online some reference. If you are regularly reading scientific literature on subject, cite it if you don't find something online. Even if you have done everything without thinking why my problem is interesting, you may retract back and analyze your own feelings and thought. Why did you select this problem? Why it looked challenging for you? Why you believe that it is helpful for community, for all humankind? And you may set up, identify a piece of knowledge that was not known before you started the research. Sometimes it's a little exaggeration. Sometimes we do simple problems, but for the sake of reader, one needs to tell it. This knowledge was not known or was not clearly analyzed, and after we do certain research steps, this positive knowledge will appear. Then, an interesting thing, and I'm speaking more than needed. Some of you can write the whole report quicker than I'm speaking about this. Hypothetical answer. This custom of formulating hypothetical answer would be especially interesting. Well, it is useful for everyone. But if you select research career, and in addition to research papers, you plan to write proposals to pull money from grant money from agencies, it is what is demanded. So you pose a question, and then you hypothesize an answer based on scientific intuition, based on common sense. Mostly likely, the answer for this question will be that. And you can cheat a little, because when you have completed your research, you already know the answer, but you can formulate it as hypothetical. This form of a little intrigue is like in a detective story. It is needed to keep the alertness of the audience. So it is needed to have it easier to arrange it in an easier tool. And then you can tell a general sentence that the following methodology and positive results are designed in such way to prove this hypothetical answer right or wrong. This is very healthy logical organization that helps readers to assess you positively, helps funding agencies to fund you, and it's just and help general audience just to follow you, this concentration. Not tired yet? So, method. If we are considering to mimic real academic research life, a reader has a right to doubt that the results are correct. And in order to minimize this doubt, one may want to either refer or at least clearly explain how the following results were obtained, to summarize the methods. And most typical way in the physical chemistry area is to show equations. Not the quotes of the code, which can be like take many pages. Just summarize in a simple equations, like the evolution operator, or how you find the weights, or Arrhenius equation. Like not much. 3-4 equations will be more than enough. Assuming that you want to convince your reader that you are doing correct things in your project. results and discussion can be merged, and if you are in a lack of time, in a very rush, in a simplified way, you just copy paste all your figures and tables. At figure 1, you have, and then just guide the audience, the reader, through your figures. Right? So it's technical. And then in the conclusions, you are telling, oh, what a surprise! Our hypothetical answer was correct. Hallelujah. Right? And you can add some notes that there are arguments. You have arguments that the method you did is trustable, correct, and results useful for others. If you have any references, they can be placed again. So this is a main slide of today. So if you, I have no doubt that you knew how to write reports without, but if you had some doubts, you can just follow this pattern. A little of entertainment. Why a piece of research is important for general audience, for community, for human? Well, if you are doing scientific research, you are generating publications and patents that go into industry and then create like cell phones for citizens. And citizens pay taxes and support research. Or there is like solar panels that give power plugs and then again powers the cell phone for the citizen pays taxes and support science. There are additional mechanisms. Through academic activities, there is a training of teachers, usually one more error. Okay. That teach workforce that goes into industry and generates cell phone that goes to their citizens that pays taxes and support science. Or there are teachers for like colleges and schools that directly provide education to citizens who pay taxes and support science. There is nothing new. It's like self-evident, but one may pronounce it if there are doubts. Who needs your research? Who will explain? This is what typically happens between colleagues. You offer an idea and it is opposed. Explain me immediately why all of your approximations are wrong. Just think about it and prepare arguments or at least in basically, I'm done with main message, and according to canons of ancient rhetorics, the movere part, or to urge you to do something, will be just to write reports and bring 4 copies. We should be able to do this 3, and 1 will be for me. After we complete this, we'll be willing, providing feedback, and then collecting the reports back to authors. Then there will be a day or 2 to implement changes for the verifying work. So basically, I want to believe that I'm done, and in the remaining minutes I'll show a couple of slides which are auxiliary. So you already saw this slide, this tentative set of figures. It's a little excessive. I do not believe that it is possible to do 7 figures with all explanations in 2 days. But you can look on them and identify which of them is near and dear to your heart, and how you can simplify this narration to fit your story. Diagram, potentials, eigenstates. Kristen was doing eigenstates, and John may do eigenstates. So if you are not clear, if you do not want to ask me about eigenstates, ask me. symbols, dynamics, and for those who do chemical reactions, we are trying to record logarithmic rate as function of inverse time. Again, this is a repetition. Most of the research, even if you are doing very advanced directions, can be simplified in the non-ambiguous function. You just look at response of your model to change of one parameter. It is sufficient for one piece of research. The parameter can be temperature, emission momentum, frequency of incident light. It is for crystal. How far you excite by photo excitation to which eigenstate, or how big is the slope of electric field that drives the transition. Magnetic field, it may affect what John is doing. Width of energy distribution is what Stephen is doing. Then examples of observables. So here is, I was trying to summarize what you're doing and categorize. So the project that Indu is doing is an ideal example of temperature to reaction rate reaction. Most typical, canonical, and most chemical. The one by Morgan and Alyssa are related to it and have some similarities, but there are some additional complications in a good sense, additional degrees of freedom. Also, independent of what we decide about the day of presentation, next week, Wednesday morning, I will present the last academic lecture, and there will be positive knowledge very much related to what Morgan and Alyssa are doing. So I apologize that you need to write a report before you get this little help, but at least you will be able to implement it in the oral presentation. So it will be a targeted set of explanations for your project and for Morgan's project. For Kristen, it is change voltage and use different radiation eigenstates that mimics photo excitation. For Steven, it is change of width of energy disorder distribution, assuming that there is an ensemble of spins with slightly different frequencies because they experience different environment. For Amelia, it is scan values of angular moment, see how it is. For John, there is a bifurcation. Original plan was to change the proportions in the superpositional state, and we may briefly discuss after. It would be a little bit more fruitful just to continue to change magnetic field and see faster. But choice is yours. Results will be more brighter and press. Collection of different research areas. The order how your written reports will be arranged in a booklet, and the order of presentation may differ from how it is listed here. Suggested order is like Amelia first, Steven second, John third, Kristen fourth, will be fifth, and then Alyssa and Morgan will be sixth and seventh. It's not so critical, but logically to have the presentations connected to each other. Do you need comments on these steps? You read that or you glanced through? So it is what we did in the last step, feeding the rate into the exponential. Mostly, this one is when you change the temperature in a way that energy scans from 0 to fluctuation inches, right?
So these get the ones that don't apply to this, right?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes. And here's the table where one reports momentum, computes temperature, and logarithm value, and then just fits these components into Arrhenius equation. This one goes mostly to your own writing, recording, explaining you yourself what you're doing right. And these would be projects. I can forward the slides. And here is the conclusions. Who in the world needs I can briefly show criteria how the written reports will be graded if you're interested, but I'm going to show them again on Monday. Should I show? So there will be a printed form. Each reviewer will have a paper that you're reviewing and set of criteria. You write a little report on what you see, like summarizing what you see there. You don't need to report a report slides. You'll report if you see in the introduction a big picture, either a hypothetical answer, either challenge is a piece of new knowledge that was not known before you start research. A little questionnaire how the reviewer assesses the quality of figures. Are lines thick enough to be visible, or are they labeled? So it's basically quality, not the contents. Basically, you see what and several questions about conclusions. Where the original hypothesis right or wrong, whether the results are useful, and as the reader, do you you feel jealous in a positive way? Do you feel like, why didn't I do this project or each part of the message? Methods I want to follow and do myself. If it is written in such a way that everyone will, I want to do the same, it's the best possible. Questions? Well, enough. So, main message. Direttare, piacere, volere. Please bring 4 copies printed and stamped.
And it's supposed to be about 2 pages long. But I'm getting like whatever it takes to get it done, but like.
I got the question. The assessment is not based on the length.
Okay.
If you can communicate it in shortly, it's great. I see it as maybe 4. Some people get excited and write up to 7.
Okay.
And there is no criteria like shorter than 4 decrease of the quality, longer than 4 decrease of quality. It's what you feel comfortable. And, do you have the examples from previous years?
No.
I was sending it to everyone, but I can send again.
No, I probably do.
I was sending in the PDF format, but I can send also the Word so
I'm
that.
sure I have it, I just don't see it.
Hope it was not Word.